Hey everyone, let's get started on this series, shall we proper? I figured I would start with Yume Nikki. For those that don't know, Yume Nikki is kind of, I would call it a game that spawned a lot of other fan games. It was one of the first ones I knew of that did this, long before Slender and Five Nights at Freddy's. Yume Nikki means dream diary. You play as a girl known as Marasuke, which means window. This game has no dialogue, and a lot of the names are fan games. Fan names, sorry, fan games. Fan names. In fact, Yume Nikki is really the only confirmed name, and Marasuki, because it's in the game. Yume Nikki is basically about a little girl a young girl. We don't know how old she is. We're never given an age. We're never given much information. In fact, the information we're given is she has an old school game system, a TV, a bed, a diary, and will not leave through the front door of her apartment. She'll go onto the patio, but she will not leave the apartment. She's what is known as a hikikomora. Hikikomora is a Japanese word which means somebody who refuses to leave their house. It's become a common phenomena in Japan. People who just don't want to leave and get their food via delivery. And in this internet age, it's actually very easy to become a hikikomora. And yes, this game is pretty much Japanese. I do not speak a word of Japanese, so if I'm mispronouncing any of these words, please forgive me in advance. Now, this game sounds pretty boring, right? You know, you're pretty much just wandering around going through the room playing this game about eggplants and catching them. That's supposedly really impossible. But then you go to sleep. Then you can leave the apartment. And you can enter various worlds looking for powers or effects, which if you drop them off in the hub world, take the form of eggs. Your goal is to find these 24 effects. And as you go through, you will meet characters like Begonio and Yuboa. Begonio is a girl who, is part of a random event, where if you turn the light off at a certain time, a certain number of times, it's like a 1 in 64 chance, she will turn into Yuboa. There's also Sensei Madasa, who is a piano teacher that is a little strange. There's Mano and Mokoyo. Mokoyo, if you stop her with an effect known as stoplight, turns into a rather deformed being, while Mono just disappears. There are the bird women, who will either be very calm, unless you stab them with a knife effect, and yes, you can stab people with them, or they're automatically going to chase you, and if they catch you, you're locked up in this little room. Obviously, you have to wake yourself up, and you do that by pinching your cheek, which is the stereotypical way in every cartoon you've ever seen. Okay. And then there's the ending. And yes, I'm getting into spoilers here. This is a theory thing. You have to know what the hell's happening before I get into what the fuck is this game about, because this is one of those games where I don't think even the Word of God's going to be able to fix it. You collect 24 effects and you wake up. There's a staircase on your balcony that wasn't there before. Marasuki walks up it and jumps off. Yeah. That's the ending. No explanation. Just splat. That's pretty much it. I know that sounds really insensitive the way I said it, but that really is what it is. It's splat. Here's the thing. There is a lot of themes going on in this game. But you're never really quite sure what the themes are, because the game has this very eerie feeling like you're in a nightmare, which is pretty much what the game is. It's this girl's nightmares and dreams. I have two theories myself. I will point out some of the common theories are Marasuki is transsexual, either female to male or male to female. Both have been spoken about. Murasuki has been raped. She's been bullied. She is a serial killer. She is or was pregnant at one point. She was in a car accident at one point and has survivor's guilt. Or the suicide itself was part of the dream and she officially woke up when she jumped out the window. That being said, what's the actual story? Well, that's just it. Nobody knows. There's no dialogue. There's no real plot. You literally explore. It's more about exploring. That being said, I do have two, like I said, I have two theories of my own. One, and this is what I've seen from other people, and I kind of like it, is that there's something supernatural going on because of how vivid the dreams are, things like that. And I would say that Yuboa, who's probably the face of the game, might be the cause of it all. Like, it represents the nightmare itself. And again, this is like the more extreme of the two theories, so I won't get too much into it. But if you want to go with the more sensible theory, I think Yume Nikki is a mentally ill person who's had a very rough life. I don't know if they're transsexual or not. I'm not going to get into that only because I don't know. Because the way people point out the evidence, it seems to go in either direction. So, could be, could not be. I would say she probably was raped. I'm just saying she is a default because most people refer to Murasuki as she. So, I think she was also bullied. I would think she was in a car accident. I think she had a very rough life compared with her mental illness. I think maybe like a few of the people in the dream world were the people that either bullied her or she knew somehow and they were hurt or they died or something. I would think Mono is maybe a girl that, because when you talk to Mono, she disappears. Maybe Mono is a friend who drifted apart for whatever reason and, Murasuki misses her. Monako might be somebody who got hit by a car because there is a corpse that looks like they got squished, so maybe two people got hit by a car that were friends of hers. I think the corpse is known as Shinta or something like that. So Shinta and Shimai lost two of her friends in a car accident. Somebody might have raped her, maybe somebody close to her, because there are a few events that point in that. Kyukyun and Face. Yuboa and Panako might be her, what she wants to be, her idealism, and her inner demons, Yuboa being her mental illness. The bird women, the Tengu, I think is what they're called, or something like that. Again, I'm probably going to butcher the names. Are probably, the bullies in school who made fun of her. And she shut herself in. I would think that, noting the situation, I would think Murasuki is... Well, first of all, I think her apartment is bigger than the picture seen here is letting on. She's not leaving her room more because she wants to go to sleep. But she won't leave the apartment completely. I think beyond the door is more of a kitchen, a bathroom, maybe a workstation, something like that. And she doesn't keep it in her bedroom because it would keep her up or something. I think Murasuki is a hikikomora. I think she works from home. I think she's actually an adult at this point, like maybe 18. It's still a young girl. Just, an adult young girl, a young adult girl. I think maybe Sensei Matsuda was a teacher that she really liked, and maybe he moved, maybe she had to stop going to his class, maybe he died too, maybe he didn't turn out, maybe he was the rapist for all we know. Maybe she did have a pregnancy at one point because there was a lot of imagery of somebody with, like, creatures with big bloated bellies. Maybe she had an abortion at some point. Or she is transgendered in one direction or another. And either feels envy for it or, like, or something like that. Maybe the girl with the scarf and the hat who gives you the scarf and hat effect was another girl that you knew and they moved away. Maybe the Yoko Ono effect, which makes it snow. Maybe she likes the winter and feels safe there because not a lot of people are out during the winter. Most people stay inside. I think this is a very mentally ill person. And unfortunately, I think for them, the logical conclusion ended up being, why should I keep living? Why should I keep going? And they committed suicide. And they were probably very talented. Because one of her effects is the flute effect, and she can play it. Maybe she had a talent for the flute. She was an animal lover. She had a lot of animal effects. The cat and the frog, specifically. So, I think she had a very low image of her body. She had basically, she did not like herself. And she never really, I don't think her parents ever helped her with it. And I don't think she ever really pulled herself out of it. So she ended up, in the end, ending her life. That's my theory anyway. So, and feel free to talk about what you think happened in the game if you've played it. I don't mind spoilers because, I kind of spoiled it. And I do recommend, even with the spoilers, you play this game to kind of see all this stuff for yourself. Because, I don't have, like, the fancy editing skills everyone else has, so for now it's just going to be very simple. But until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Bye!